call this segment simply Capital Spotlight. We essentially put the spotlight on a member of the General Assembly and discuss some of the things they've been working on and its impact on you, the Rhode Island citizen. And it gives me a good deal of pleasure to welcome back a gentleman we've talked to before. It's good to have him back, the Honorable State Representative Marvin Abney. And Representative, it's great to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's been a minute since we talked last time, and my hair is grayer. A lot of great things.
This building will do it to you.
But I'm glad to be back chatting with you.
Well, and I'll tell you something else. Selfishly, I enjoy talking about the community that you represent because I happen to think it's just one of the most spectacular places in our country.
It is a great place to live, and I'm learning more about that. And because I'm representing both Middletown and Newport, I'm learning the history of the individuals, the things that are important to them. And most people tell me they want a representative. We're asked all of the time, and you'll ask me today, well, what are you working on, Marvin? Well, basically, I ask the people in my district, what do you want me to go to Providence and work on, because I'm your representative. And believe me, the people of Middletown and Newport will tell you that, but the history is just fantastic.
Well, I've often heard it said, a politician works for himself, a statesman works for the people.
I think that's true, and I learned a long time ago that public service and working for someone else really magnifies you. At the end of the day, what we're here to do is make good for the entire whole of the state. And when you do that, then good things come to you, too.
Hey, and speaking of things that you're working on, tell our viewers about this mail-in ballot proposal. Tell me what that's all about.
Yeah, the mail-in ballot proposal is to help people who, if they have everything else right, that within 20 days of an election, they can go and get an emergency mail-in ballot, but they don't really have to go through a long explanation of why they need that ballot. Some people have said, look, I may have had a medical reason I didn't want to talk about, I may have had a personal reason, but I'm within that 20 days, I still want to participate. And I believe that full participation of our citizens is what we want. So this bill is just designed to make sure that people who are eligible to vote, not those who are not eligible to vote, can within that 20-day period still have an emergency mail-in ballot. And
I guess ultimately we want as many people to vote as possible.
We want as many people to vote as possible. Generally in the primaries the numbers are low, but in the general election you have to have citizen participation, and that's what this is designed to help do.
I know, too, you're also working on behalf of libraries. What's going on with that?
Yeah, as you know, I used to be on the board of directors of the Redwood Library in Newport, which is one of the oldest lending libraries in the country. And to me, that's all part of the public education forum that I absolutely am in favor of. So this is asking that if at the end of the day there are appropriations that are left, that the director of the state libraries will come up with a formula that will help the locals in city towns with their libraries, especially in their operating cost. Every day people go to the libraries, they read, they do a number of things. I was at the Newport Library just this past weekend. There were 50 or 60 kids participating in a reading program. And many of the cities and towns don't have a lot of money for the operational purposes. So those who work with other libraries across the state will be asking that if there's monies left over, that it goes toward helping the operating costs.
Just recently I was in my library in Pawtucket, and my computer had broken down, and I needed to access a computer, so I went over to the library, and the library is beautiful in Pawtucket, and they must have had 40 or 50 computers there. Every single one was taken. Citizens were using them. Not everybody has access to their own computer. I was impressed with just how many people were there. I had to, take a number and wait my turn in line, which was fine with me. But again, libraries still serve such an important role in our communities.
I have done that myself. And many of the people that you saw at these libraries were doing what? They were filling out applications for jobs, looking for work.
Yes.
So it is key they were able to keep these centers open and operational so that people have an opportunity to look for work and look for jobs.
And I got to tell you something. Your colleague, Representative Martin.
Oh, that's great guy.
In the House. One of the things that he told me when I visited Newport for the first time, I just thought everybody lived on Ocean Drive. And that's not always the case. And there's quite a cross-section of people in Newport and Middletown, so it's important that those services be available. One quick last question.
Sure.
I know you serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee. that has to be pretty special for you because you have a celebrated military background. You must be able to bring a lot to the table.
That is special to me, and what's even more special to me is that Thursday, hopefully, I'm going to bring my son back to the Chambers, who just finished his second tour of combat in Afghanistan. It's an honor to work for the veterans of this state and of this country. I say all the time, it is those veterans that do what they do. They don't ask what your name is, what your sexual orientation is, what your religion is. They go, they serve, they fight for us to come back and do what we do in these chambers every day. And I'm going to do all I can to help those. In fact, yesterday, a person was telling me that the sequestration may affect a lot of our National Guard members that we have. Rhode Island has some great young men and women who've served in the National Guards overseas with my son in Afghanistan. So I'm going to be working in that committee with all of the other things we're doing to ensure that they're able to come back and to a thriving economy, which is still number one, and come back and have a place to live and work.
Representative, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this time.
And we could not do it, of course, without you, the viewer. My name is Dave Barber, coming to you from the third floor of the Rhode Island State House in something we call Capitol Spotlight.